All right, so we are back. I have Jake Kosak from the Bronx Zoo here. He's a good friend of mine. I met him a few years ago at the Pinstripe Pride event, and he's grown a lot since I met him, and it's incredible some of the things he's doing. Jake, what's it been like the past few years growing your own media business?
Uh, look, thank you for that introduction. Great to meet you. Yeah, it's been one wild ride. I'm grateful for every opportunity that's been passed my way. It's it's just been fun. As just a diehard Yankee fan growing up, you dream of doing something related to baseball. You dream of something that you can you know, wake up every day and truly love experiencing and doing and never think of it as a drag or I got to wake up and do this. You hope to find something. And, this has been my dream since I ever could remember. And I'm just lucky that I get the chance to do it.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the stuff you do. I even saw the thing with John Bernthal on your Instagram. I thought that was really cool too.
Oh, yeah. No, that's my experience of, uh, you know, I used to work at TMZ back in the day, and I had a lot of experience doing street interviews, and I think that's a fun style to learn, and it really gets you out of your shell and things like that. So I loved being able to do that in the zoo in the beginning when I didn't have that much access to meet a lot of these athletes and celebrities, and when you do it respectfully and you really appreciate and enjoy doing that type of craft, and you do it the right way, you can really get some good results. And I'm lucky to have really gotten some cool opportunities and, memories and interviews from that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that you've met all of these players, present and former players. Um, who gave you the best impression? I'm gonna be honest, mine was Oswaldo Cabrera when I met him a few years ago.
Yeah, no, Oswaldo, number one, there's never, it's hard to say if you'll ever meet anyone like Oswaldo in life, let alone in baseball. He truly, I'm lucky to know him. I'll always say that. I'm lucky to have opportunities to be around him. He's just a genuinely amazing human. So yeah, I would say Oswaldo, and then there's so many other guys out there that just are really, really kind-hearted souls. I've had the opportunity to meet Doc Gooden a lot. He's really a good guy. I would say someone that will always have my heart as a fan and as a person is Bernie Williams. Bernie truly is just an incredible, incredible person, and you see it every time you're around him. So yeah, I would say Bernie as well, though. But there's tons of other people I can mention. Those are just the two that come to mind.
All right, perfect. So it's been a busy off season. I feel like obviously we had the whole Juan Soto drama to begin the off season, and now it's how do we move on from that? And I feel like the job is not finished. You believe that Nolan Arenado will be a Yankee by opening day. I feel like he would be a great addition. I want you to dive in a little bit on why you think Nolan Arenado is such a good fit.
No, I really, I keep talking about him, and I truly, half of that's just manifestation of my hopes and dreams because I do think he'll be a great piece for this team. I think his defense. You look at the World Series. Yeah, Aaron Judge doesn't usually drop that ball 99 times out of 100, no pun intended. But uh, I think the defense really wasn't all put together as well as it could have been last year. And when you look at a guy like Nolan, he's a an elite. There's people that are great, and there's people that are an elite third baseman, and there's only three elite third basemen in the league, and I'd say it's all like the last 10 years, it's Manny Machado, Matt Chapman, and Nolan, and Nolan's the best, and he's arguably the best of all time defensively in the conversation, at least with Brooks and Mike, and Mike Schmidt, of course, and I think that he's just a guy who I think needs a resurgence in a new place, and I think New York is the place that he needs to be.
I definitely agree with that. Sometimes when you're in a place for too long and you kind of get tired of it. It's the same thing in like real life when you work a job, you get tired of it at times. And I feel like even in St. Louis now, he sees that they're disbanding some of the guys. Like they didn't bring back Paul Goldschmidt. They're looking to trade some people. He sees that they're not going to compete, and he's got a very competitive nature. And I feel like it really would benefit him to be here, especially with Paul Goldschmidt. And he would be able to click instantly. I feel like almost like when they acquired Rizzo, and he clicked instantly. So we've seen a lot of the traditional policies go away with the New York Yankees. First with the facial hair policy, and then shortly after, no New York, New York after a loss. What are your opinions on these policies? Because I feel like it's divided the fan base.
You know, I always say about the facial hair policy that it's not more about the the it's not that I'm against it. I wasn't for it. I wasn't necessarily for it because I like the tradition, but I'm not against it. I Things happen, things need to change, and ideally, they uh, they can change over some minds over the next couple months. But I just think that things change. I like tradition a lot, but eventually things do have to be a little different. I don't know if this was the time for facial hair, but I certainly think that things could have been, there's new styles will be helpful if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying there. Um, Tradition is what the Yankees are all about. They have a, a legacy. I feel like legacy is the thing you hear with the Yankees, and how do you create a Yankees legacy? And I feel like you're right. It might have not been the right time, especially after losing out on Juan Soto, because now it has some of the other fan bases questioning if the only reason we changed the policy was because we lost out on a generational talent like Soto, when I really don't think that's the case at all. And a lot of that hate is coming from Mets fans, or like you say, Mets spectators.
Well,
Where
I'll say this too. Like I 100% understand why Hal did it, Brian did it. They make great decisions for the fans a lot, and I always stand up for Brian Cashman and the organization because everyone wants to win, right? Everyone wants to. Even when you might not agree with the move they're making, they want to win. Why wouldn't they? This matters to them too. If it was about money all the time, you would see different decisions. But they're constantly investing and they're constantly trying to improve the team. So I understand why Hal did it and Brian did it because they do want to think of maybe the opportunity of more players coming in the future. And even though I'm not for it, like I said, I truly am not against it because things change, times change. Maybe it was the right time, maybe it wasn't the right time, but I'll always understand why they did it because you know something had to change. I think that's the best way to put it. Something did have to change after that World Series to kind of bring some new life and new energy. And things, like I keep reiterating, things will change over time. Styles will change of how you run your team. But at the end of the day, the goal is winning. And as long as everyone wins, no one really cares about the other stuff as much.
Right. Like, I think Judge said it perfectly when he said, if the only reason you won't come here is because you can't have a beard, then you probably shouldn't be here. Because the main goal
Absolutely, absolutely.
is
I stand by my captain on
yeah.
that.
I think that was the perfect way to put it. And some
Yep,
fans were upset with him for even saying that. I was like, I think that's honestly the best way to say it. But
100%.
you had mentioned the World Series, something needed to change. I've been to multiple games where New York has played after a terrible loss. I was there when the Astros swept the Yankees a few years ago. I was there game 3 of the World Series this year, and both times I got to see the Dodgers, or both times I got to see the opposing team celebrate with that song in the background, and it really does leave a sour taste in your mouth. What do you think about that?
I've always been for changing New York after losses. It never made sense to me. That's supposed to be a song you want to celebrate to, not walk out. And look, everyone wants the Yankee experiences. So even after a loss, maybe this is the only Yankee game someone can go to. So I got why they tried to do it, but no Yankee fan, true Yankee fan, wants to hear it after a loss because it symbolizes, that song's supposed to symbolize celebration and nothing more. So I think that's the right move. I love the song choice. We've actually had Bronx Zoo videos of the people saying that "That's Life" should be the song, and they were 100% correct. We've said that for years on so many zoo videos, and they finally did it. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I was very happy with that, especially That's Life, because you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. That's life. That's the perfect song choice for after a loss. Uh, keeping it on a little bit of the World Series, there were a lot of weird decisions, especially early on in the series, going to Nestor instead of Tim Hill, um, taking Cole out in was it game 2? They took Cole out in like the 6th inning. If there was one decision you were to take back from the 2024 World Series, what would it be?
Aside from the obvious, you probably want to see Tim Hill, and I think that a lot of people know. And I think even probably Boone knows that. I think that the move I would have made that wasn't made was, I think Marcus Stroman should have been given a shot in the World Series. There was a chance that you might have traded him, but you always knew there was a chance that he'd be coming back. And that probably hurt his confidence a bit last year. He's a pro. He's a 2-time All-Star, and you didn't give him a chance. And there's guys like Verlander at 40 years old about to be pitching in Major League Baseball. You wouldn't even give a 30-year-old, 33-year-old Marcus Stroman a shot. I don't know. I think he kind of had a bad September, but he did have a decent year. And I think that he should have been given a shot. There were so many times you could have just said, we need to try something different. Let's give Stroman a shot. That was my personal feelings. I know that people disagree. I always don't say the things that people that agree with anyway, though, so I'm used to it. But I just think he should have been given a chance.
Right. And Marcus Stroman's a guy I felt bad for this offseason. At first, I was all aboard trading Stroman because we needed the money. But Stroman is here. He's complained a little bit, but who wouldn't after getting the brunt of the hate from Yankees fans? I mean, imagine how it is. We always have that one player that I feel like gets a majority of the disdain. It was Josh Donaldson. It's been Aaron Hicks, and now it's Stroman. It can't be a good feeling, and especially when there's a clause in your contract, and the main reason a bunch of people were mad at him was because he took those extra few days before he came to spring training. He wanted to be with his kid. He might have been getting traded within the next few days. He was just taking that time to process it, spend time with his family, and it was a clause in his contract. This Marcus Stroman hate really is undeserved. I loved the Stroman signing last year because I love his attitude. I love that he goes out there day in and day out, gives his all. And he had a great first half last year, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. If he could pitch to that level this year, I'd be more than happy with that.
100%. I think that he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to have an impactful year. And I think that he'll have a resurgence with the fans after they show him that when he stands up when we need him most, because he has the opportunity to really be beloved after everything. He has the opportunity to turn perception around, which every player who's had a bad go of it, that's something they long to have, because not everyone gets that chance. So this could be a huge year for Stroman in his legacy, because once you get to a point in your career like this, legacy, and I can't speak for all players because I'm not a player, but I would imagine how I look at my own life and my own career, that, legacy matters to them more than anything. So I think this is a chance for him to turn the perception of who Marcus Stroman is, because I think he's just a cool guy who loves baseball. And I think that's what fans should look at him and root for him for.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I get from him. I really think that this hate really came out of nowhere just because of one bad month last year, and it definitely unwarranted. But I want to move on to something you said too. The Yankees have 8 hitters who can realistically hit 20+ home runs. Do you believe this lineup this year is more balanced than the 2024 lineup?
1,000%. I think. Look, the guy's name was going to come up eventually in any Yankees conversation. That guy Juan Soto. I think it would have been nice to get him. I wanted him. I'm never going to deny that fact. But I think that I think the team needed a lot more than just Juan Soto. The team needed an additional piece to that lineup, even with him. And I really don't think that if we got Juan Soto, we would have gotten 4 players instead of 1. I think we would have got Soto and maybe another pitcher like Walker Buehler. That's my personal opinion. I think that would have been the move, a guy with a 2-year contract. But at the end of the day, I think, the fact that you go out, you don't get Soto, but you get a guy who can perform like Bellinger can, and a guy who can still perform like Goldschmidt can. That's two batters right there that can, you know, outweigh the power numbers that we're going to be missing from Soto. And then you have Dominguez, who we didn't use for defensive reasons last year, but his offensive production alone, he could hit 30 home runs. But I think that, you're not going to have Verdugo, you're not going to have Rizzo, who everyone knows I love Rizzo, and I still want him back on the bench. But Rizzo was out half the year last year. So I think with that production that you're going to get from Goldschmidt, you're already going to see an influx in the offensive team totals next year, with Bellinger, contributing, and Dominguez contributing. And, another guy that I think you're going to see impactful in the regular season is going to be a Ben Rice. And potentially you could see a guy get traded over here in the next couple days or next couple weeks. And you have no idea what the potential of this team is yet, because we don't even know what these guys can perform to. And if Dominguez can perform like the star power he has been presented as over the past couple seasons as a prospect, then I'll tell you, you're truly, truly, truly going to see something special with the offense that I don't think a lot of people will think will be coming because of the loss of Soto.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about that too, because I was just talking about how the Mets have a lot of holes on their team, and it's kind of the same story that we had last year. We got Soto and then didn't go 100% in. We had holes on that team at third base, possibly at first base with Rizzo. We didn't really know what we were going to get because he was coming off of that concussion, and and then later on in the season at the All-Star break, we saw that left field was also an issue. Teams have to start going 100% instead of just this halfway just because they have one generational talent. This isn't basketball where one generational talent can carry a team. But
Yep.
I want to talk about the youth on this team because you were mentioning Jason Dominguez. The Yankees have 5 young homegrown hitters potentially in their opening day lineup. Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera, and there's one and Jason Dominguez. I was going to say there's one I'm missing, but I didn't say him either. This When is the last time that we've seen this? And how can Juan Soto realistically say the Mets have a better future than this when we have 5 young homegrown hitters on the team?
Yeah, I think that type of talk with Soto saying that the Mets have a better future is just the stuff that you say when you have hope. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that he's really gonna, see over the next couple of seasons. We've produced homegrown talent. You look at Aaron Judge, obviously, but you look at Volpe, you look at Wells, and what's coming next. I think you're truly gonna see guys step up when we need them most, and I think that not only that, but I think you're gonna see guys potentially outweigh what we think they can do. I think Austin Wells could hit 30 home runs. Volpe could hit 20,
Oh,
and
100%.
and then eventually Ben Rice, maybe he becomes a staple in his lineup. He has the power potential of 25 plus. So over the next couple seasons, you're going to see a team that's going to build together, stay strong together, and you know maybe turn it around and show all of baseball that we never needed Soto. He could have helped us win this year, but we got a bunch of guys that can step up, and you never know who comes up in the system who can be the next Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. You never know.
Right, and we got a lot of guys down there that still can make an impact. Spencer Jones, Lombard, Pereira. These are
Yeah,
guys that
Lombard Jr. I think is going to be a star.
he's gonna be so good. It's not ready yet, but within the next 2 seasons, we'll see George Lombard in the MLB. But the time's wrapping up a little bit. There's one question I like to ask a lot of people I have on the show. If you could give one piece of advice to a young prospective media worker, what would it be?
That's a good question. The one piece of advice I would give to someone who's trying to pursue this dream is don't believe everything you see online of all these people who live lavishly and make it seem that young entrepreneurism is, this incredible thing that happens and nothing, is really hard. Because you have to be the hardest working person in any room you walk in. And I truly mean that. You could walk in a room with any leader, celebrity, athlete, and you got to be the hardest working in your own way, and
you don't have to glorify everything. I try to be as honest as I can with everyone who sees what I'm doing. I let them know when, things are hard. Sometimes you're gonna see that bank account hit zero, and you're gonna have to figure out, a new way to make some cash just to survive. And you know, uh, don't be too proud. Take the hard jobs. I used to be a busboy. I used to, go around and try and help with labor work. Things like that. Whatever I could do, I would shovel driveways. You got to do whatever you can to make your dreams happen, and enjoy the journey. Because I said this last night, and I was talking to my mom, and I said I in the beginning, we have a big announcement coming with the zoo, and it's everything I've been working towards. But in the beginning, all I would do is edit all my videos on my own. And I'm watching a video last night, and I was editing a new zoo video, and I miss those days when that's all I had to worry about. So enjoy the journey, because that's the fun part.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying my journey now, and I feel like my life, I've always wanted to be the hardest worker in the room, and hearing it come from you, and Keith said something very similar when I had Keith on, and I feel like media's tough. I mean, life's tough, and we just got to keep working. Jake, thank you so much for coming on, giving me your time, giving me your thoughts.
No, thank you. I
It's
appreciate it.
it's been amazing. I hope to see you this season. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to make it to opening day this year. First time in 7 years, but gotta work. So,
Absolutely.
all
I
right.
appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on,
Of
and
course.
have a good one. Thank you so much.
Of course, Jake. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jake is awesome. He just said he has a huge announcement. He posted for that. Um, I'm very excited to see what it is too, because he's been talking about it for a while. And I can only imagine if it's a big announcement for him, what that's going to be. All right, guys. I'll see you next week, Monday, 6:30. Empire State of Sports, signing off.